I want you to picture a scenario. And honestly, if you saw this in a movie script, you might roll your eyes and say it's a little too on the nose.
A bit much.
Yeah, a bit much. It sounds like the plot of a John Grisham novel, or maybe a really gritty season of Law and Order.
Yeah.
You've got a powerful politician, the mayor of New York City. You've got his right-hand man, a guy he literally calls his brother.
And then you have a law firm.
Right. But not just any law firm. This is a firm that's currently facing a federal lawsuit, and the accusation is that it's running a massive, sophisticated fraud scheme.
Involving fake injuries and exploited migrants. It has all the ingredients of a thriller, doesn't it? But this isn't fiction. This is the news breaking today, February 4th, 2026.
Exactly. And at the center of this whole storm is one man, Ali Najmi, top aide to Mayor Zohran Mamdani. But here's the twist that has everyone talking. Najmi was just appointed to this incredibly powerful position where he effectively helps pick the city's judges.
Sounds pretty important.
It is. But at the exact same time, he is serving as a special counsel to that very same law firm I just mentioned.
The one being sued for being a fraudulent enterprise.
The very one. It's a tangle of connections that, well, it raises some very serious questions.
About ethics, governance, who really holds the keys to the courtroom in New York.
So that is our mission for this deep dive. We're going to try and untangle this web. We'll look at the brotherhood between the mayor and his aide. We'll dig into the allegations against this law firm, which are wild.
Oh, they are.
And we're going to try to understand why legal experts are looking at this whole setup and whispering the name of one of New York's most notorious corrupt politicians.
It's a classic case of connecting the dots. And once you see the pattern, it's pretty hard to unsee it.
So let's start with the relationship at the core of all this. We're talking about Mayor Zohran Mamdani and Ali Najmi. This is not just a boss-employee relationship.
Oh, far from it. This is a political partnership that goes back over a decade. I mean, in public, Mayor Mamdani has actually referred to Najmi as his brother.
Wow, brother.
Yeah, that gives you a sense of the trust there. In politics, where loyalty is, the only currency that really matters, that's a huge distinction.
Brother is a strong word. It implies a real shared history.
And the history is there to back it up. Najmi was absolutely key to the Democratic Socialist mayor's rise. If you go back, Mamdani actually worked on Najmi's campaign for city council.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was over 10 years ago. Najmi didn't win, but the bond was clearly formed then. And later, when Mamdani was running for the state assembly, Najmi was his lawyer. He repped those campaigns.
So they've been in the trenches together for years.
Exactly. And Najmi isn't just some guy, hanging onto the mayor's coattails. He rose up through the Queen's Democratic machine. He's a power player in his own right.
How so?
In the primary just last year, he represented over a dozen different campaigns. He knows election law, he knows the players, he knows how the game is played in this city.
Okay, so he's a heavy hitter. And now he's landed a pretty specific gig. In January, he was appointed chairman of the mayor's advisory committee on the judiciary. I gotta be honest, that sounds like a lot of bureaucratic word salad. What does that committee actually do?
It sounds dry, I'll give you that. But it is incredibly powerful. This committee is, it's essentially the gatekeeper for the city's court system.
The gatekeeper.
They're tasked with naming lawyers to the bench in family courts, civil courts, and they also name interim appointees for criminal courts.
So let's make this concrete. If I'm a lawyer in New York and I want to become a judge, I want to wear the robe and bang the gavel, I pretty much have to get past Ali Najmi first.
Essentially, yes. He's screening the nominees. He is guiding the whole process of who gets onto that bench. It's a position of immense influence.
And just to be clear, the mayor's office says this is an unpaid position, right?
Correct. A spokesperson for Mamdani made sure to note that this is an unpaid position.
I feel like that's a detail that's meant to, soften the blow. Look, he's just volunteering his time.
It's a very common defense. He's not on the payroll, so where's the problem?
Yeah.
But anyone who studies politics knows that salary is often the least valuable form of compensation. The real currency is influence.
Right.
And being the guy who makes judges, that is power. And power can be monetized in other ways.
Which brings us to where the money is coming from. Because while he's volunteering his time picking judges, he does have a day job.
He does. In October 2025, just before the election that put Mamdani in office, Najmi joined a firm called Liakas Law, PC.
And he's not just an associate in the basement.
No, his title is special counsel.
Special counsel. I saw his Instagram post about it. He's like high-fiving people in the office. He wrote, "Every morning when I walk into Liakas Law, I'm reminded why I chose this work." Seems pretty excited about it.
He does. But that title, special counsel, it's setting off all kinds of alarm bells for ethical experts.
Mm.
And to understand why, you really have to look at a little bit of New York history. When experts see a powerful political aide with a title like special counsel or of counsel at a personal injury firm, they immediately think of one person, Sheldon Silver.
Oh, Sheldon Silver. The ghost of corruption past. I mean, that is a name that still haunts Albany. For anyone who might not remember, why is that name so toxic in this context?
Sheldon Silver was the Speaker of the New York State Assembly. For decades, he was one of the three most powerful men in the state, and he held a title called of counsel at a big asbestos law firm.
Of counsel, special counsel, sounds pretty similar.
Very similar. And here's the kicker. Silver raked in over $3 million in referral fees from that firm, despite the fact that he never actually performed any legal work for them.
$3 million for doing what?
Doing nothing. Well, not nothing. He was selling his office. He used his power as Speaker to block tort reform. And crucially for our discussion, he used his influence to steer cases toward judges who were friendly to the firm.
Judges who, in many cases, owed their careers to him.
Precisely.
So the fear is that we're seeing the exact same architecture of a conflict of interest being built all over again.
That's it exactly. Tom Stebbins, who heads the Lawsuit Reform Alliance of New York, he put it very bluntly. He said, "The last thing New Yorkers need is a Shelley Silver Part 2.
That is a heavy comparison. But it gets worse, doesn't it? Because it's not just that Najmi works for any law firm, it's this specific firm.
Right. If this was some boring corporate law firm, people might still raise an eyebrow. But Liakas Law is currently the subject of a federal lawsuit filed just last week, and the allegations are explosive.
Yeah, I was reading through the lawsuit details, and my jaw literally dropped. They're not just accusing them of, exaggerating a few neck pains. They're accusing the firm of operating a fraudulent enterprise.
That's the exact phrase from the filing, a fraudulent enterprise that targets immigrants and individuals of limited means.
So let's break this down. How does this alleged scheme even work?
According to the lawsuit, the firm is accused of recruiting plaintiffs, often undocumented migrants who are vulnerable. They allegedly coach them to fake accidents or, dramatically exaggerate their injuries.
And then what?
Then they use what the lawsuit calls falsified medical documentation to wildly inflate the claims against insurance companies.
Fake accidents, fake doctor's notes. It sounds more like an organized crime ring than a law firm.
That is essentially the accusation. And the lawsuit has some incredibly vivid examples to back it up.
Oh, we have to talk about the underwear example. I mean, this one is almost cinematic in how brazen it is.
It's really something. So there was a client represented by Liakas Law who testified at a trial. He claimed he was so disabled by his accident that he, and I'm quoting here, was unable to put on underwear without assistance.
Unable to put on underwear. That paints a very specific, very sympathetic picture. You imagine a man who's just completely incapacitated.
Exactly. Maximum sympathy, maximum payout. But the insurance company did some digging, and the lawsuit cites photos of this very same client.
Let me guess. He wasn't bedridden.
Hardly. One photo shows him at a bar celebrating a soccer match, just 2 months after the accident. Another shows him posing with his soccer team, a month after he gave that testimony about the underwear.
So he can't put on his own boxers, but he can run around a soccer pitch for 90 minutes? That's bold.
It's physically impossible, obviously, but it highlights the level of fabrication alleged here. And Tom Stebbins, who I mentioned earlier, he refers to this as part of a massive fraudemic happening in the city.
A fraudemic?
Yeah, he says this isn't isolated. It's staged accidents on streets, on construction sites, all over New York.
And this is where we have to connect the two threads. On one side, you have Ali Najmi, the mayor's brother, in charge of picking judges. On the other, Ali Najmi, special counsel for Liakas Law, a firm accused of faking injuries with soccer-playing plaintiffs.
And the intersection of those two lines is where the real danger is. It's not just about the fraud. It's about the fact that Liakas Law currently has over 50 active cases against New York City.
Wait, they're suing the city, the same city that Najmi is helping to run.
Yes. Last year alone, they filed roughly 20 lawsuits against the city.
So, let me get this straight. Let's walk through the loop. Najmi works for the firm suing the city. He also works for the city picking the judges.
Right.
So if I'm a judge who wants to get appointed or maybe reappointed...
You have to go through Najmi. And then once you're on the bench, Liakas Law walks into your courtroom with a lawsuit against the city, asking for millions in taxpayer money.
And the judge on the bench knows. Because everyone in New York politics knows that the man whose firm is suing the city is the same man who helped them get their job.
That's the loop. It's a closed circuit. Najmi screens the nominees. Those nominees become judges who preside over civil cases. Liakas Law brings cases to those judges. And Najmi collects a paycheck from Liakas Law.
It's like he's playing all sides of the chessboard at once.
It is. That's why insiders are calling the conflicts of interest innumerable. One source called the whole idea of a plaintiff's attorney screening judicial nominees nuts.
Yeah, you can see why. And there's another layer too, right? Beyond just the judges. Influence peddling on actual policy.
Yes, absolutely. The concern is that if a top City Hall aide is on the payroll of a firm that makes its money suing the city, he could influence the mayor's position on laws that affect that firm's bottom line.
Like tort reform.
Exactly. If the mayor pushes for laws that make it harder to sue the city, his top aide's law firm loses money. So whose interest is Najmi representing in those meetings? The taxpayers.
Yeah.
Or the firm that's paying him.
Right. Stebbins put it this way. How could his affiliation with a plaintiff's firm not tilt his perspective towards the plaintiff? It's a conflict that affects policy, not just personnel.
He'd essentially be advocating against his own paycheck.
Okay, so these are obviously some very serious allegations and conflicts. We have to look at what Najmi and the firm are saying in their defense.
No, they're definitely pushing back. Najmi released a statement. He said, quote, "I am not associated with the frivolous litigation attack against the firm which started long before I joined."
Okay, let's unpack that. He's saying, hey, I just got here.
Basically, he joined in October 2025. The lawsuit was filed in February 2026, but it references a scheme that allegedly dates back to 2020. So his argument is that the bad stuff, the underwear testimony, all that, happened before he walked in the door.
Does that hold water, though?
It's a partial defense against the fraud, maybe? He can say he didn't orchestrate the soccer player scheme, but it doesn't address the conflict of interest with the judges.
Right.
Even if the firm was squeaky clean, the fact that he's picking judges while working for a firm that sues the city, that is still the core ethical problem. The "I'm new here" defense doesn't fix the Sheldon Silver problem.
And what about the firm? What is Liakas Law saying?
Their spokesperson called the federal lawsuit baseless and claims it will fall apart once judicial scrutiny is applied.
Once judicial scrutiny is applied. That's an interesting choice of words, considering who's picking the judges that will be applying that scrutiny.
It is a little ironic, isn't it? But their public stance is that this is just a hit job by the insurance companies.
We should also zoom out for a second. You mentioned earlier that New York is a specific kind of environment for lawsuits. You found some data on just how expensive this all is for the average New Yorker.
It's staggering. New York has been ranked as the second worst judicial hellhole in the entire country.
Judicial hellhole. Not a great nickname.
Not great. And it's a financial problem, too. The report says that New Yorkers spent $96 billion in excessive litigation last year.
$96 billion with a B.
With a B. And that money isn't just vanishing. It's built into your car insurance, your health insurance, the cost of construction, the rent you pay. We all pay the tort tax.
So in an environment that's already saturated with expensive litigation, the optics of this.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
When politicians or the people running the government appear to be on the payroll of the people suing the government, it just creates massive distrust. It confirms everyone's worst suspicions.
It feels like the fox is guarding the henhouse, but the fox is also designing the security system for the henhouse.
And taking a salary from the wolves.
So just to recap, we have Mayor Mamdani's brother, Ali Najmi, in the powerful role of picking NYC judges. At the same time, he's special counsel for Liakas Law.
Liakas Law is being sued for running a fraudulent enterprise with some memorable examples.
Shout out to the soccer player who couldn't put on his underwear. And hovering over this whole thing is the ghost of Sheldon Silver, reminding us all how this game can be played.
It really is a perfect storm of political patronage, legal ethics, and alleged criminal behavior.
And it feels like a story that is going to keep evolving.
The scrutiny is on now. The big question is whether City Hall will double down and protect Najmi, or if they'll cut ties to try and save the administration's reputation.
That is the question. And I want to leave you, the listener, with one final thought to mull over. We talk a lot about the gatekeepers of the judiciary, but think about this. If the gatekeeper is on the payroll of a firm suing the city, can any judge appointed during this administration truly be seen as impartial?
It puts a cloud over everyone.
Yeah, regardless of their own personal integrity, if the door they walk through was held open by a conflicted hand, can we ever fully trust what happens inside that courtroom?
That's the question that should keep every New Yorker awake at night.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. Keep your eyes open, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Stay informed.